Hello my friends, Steve Chiquillo here, and we have a guest here today, Dave Sampson, and he's with Locnest, and his company basically does two things. It's a lease guarantee for tenants and for landlords.
Yep.
Now what a great idea, right? So tell me a little bit about Locnest.
So we're a lease guarantee company.
Right.
So what we do from the tenant's perspective is the tenant can come to us and request a lease guarantee. And
Right.
what we do is we financially back the tenant. Obviously we do risk mitigation of our own. We don't just approve anybody. There's a certain process that needs to happen. But they come to us, they get a lease guarantee through us. And that makes them more appealing to the landlord. So the benefit to the landlord, you might ask, well, it's peace of mind for them, it's completely free to them, and their tenants are financially backed. So this is especially useful when you look at circumstances like newcomers to Canada or students, for example, because they don't always have extended credit history. They can still be a AAA tenant, but if they don't have extended credit history here in Canada, it's very hard for them to get approved without a guarantor or co-signer.
And that's what landlords are looking for, is that if you're a good tenant and you're financially sound, your credit is very important.
Absolutely.
So you're just highlighting how we can make a tenant like yourself. Is if tenants listening right now, how are you going to look good for putting an application for a property? Because there may be a lot of people else who are looking, and obviously at the end of the day it comes down to who's the best fit. And when they say the best fit, it could come down to credit.
Absolutely. And you can have a list of AAA tenants, especially in competitive areas such as Toronto.
Which is crazy, right?
Exactly. So you're getting, the landlords have 10 applications. They're all AAA tenants, but what makes you stand up, kind of stick out in front of everyone else? Well, it's, the Locnest lease guarantee.
So talking for for a tenant, so if you're a tenant and you're looking for a lease guarantee to help you do an application to get a rental, especially in say Toronto, Vancouver, where it's crazy. It's like $2,100 for an average one bedroom in downtown Toronto.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Oh
my God. So there's a lot of people looking. There's only so many units. You're a tenant, and first thing you got to think of is, oh, I need a credit check. They always ask for a credit check. How can this help? Because someone doesn't need a credit check, say go through Equifax or Credit Karma or those type of companies. Do they still need that, or they just call you?
No, they don't need that at all. We handle everything. Like I said, we do risk mitigation on our end. So we have 2 rounds of credit checking. The first one, we're actually partnered with Equifax. So our first standard credit check is just an Equifax credit check. If they're automatically approved through that, they're good to go. If they are not, and if they are a newcomer, student, or even if their credit history is not to par as to maybe where it should be to get an approval, we collect additional documents from them. So just things like banking history, work permit or your visa, student acceptance, that sort of thing. And then our risk mitigation team handles it on that end.
Right. So Dave, let's just go through the steps. I am a tenant and I heard about Locnest. I go to the website, I find information, I'm curious. Walk me through quickly what the steps are as a tenant looking to get help from Locnest.
The tenant can be the one to initiate the process. We have a 1-800 number. So they can give us a shout. They can even just dig into the website. They go to tenant, and then they select the lease guarantee, and everything is done through the website, through the portal. It's a very easy step-by-step process. They just check off the guarantee amount, and that's basically good to go. If they are required to submit additional documents, someone will reach out and request that. But honestly, it's as easy as just going to the website. Everyone thinks it's some difficult process.
Right? People think it's all this paperwork. I don't have time. I'm just gonna call and just go through it. No,
you can get it done in
organized.
5-10 minutes. You can get it done in 5-10 minutes, all through the website. And an email will be sent out to both the tenant and to the landlord. So once that email goes out, the landlord confirms that all the information provided is correct and accurate. And then both parties will be sent the legal lease guarantee document.
When they're filling out this application for Locnest, is basically in direction that they already have a property they want, Is that how
Yeah.
this works, or they just have an application and they could use it multi-purpose for
So
other
it can
properties?
go, absolutely. So it can go both ways. If they already have a landlord and a property in mind, just skip right to the lease guarantee. On the other end of that, what they can do is if they're still applying for multiple properties, they haven't picked out one yet. What they can do is they can go to the pre-approval. It's very similar to say a mortgage pre-approval. So we collect the documents, we do all the credit checks. You're good to go. You're pre-approved in our system. You can send that out to all of your landlords, and then as soon as you get accepted for a property, again, that landlord can confirm the actual lease start date, etc., and then they can instantly convert that over to the lease guarantee itself.
Cost.
Yeah.
I'm the tenant. I'm like, oh, this sounds costly. What am I getting myself into? What is the cost we're looking? Let's say typically for a one-bedroom apartment at $1,500. What is this going to cost a potential tenant?
So it completely depends on the lease guarantee amount. So it's not necessarily dependent on the rent of the building.
Okay.
So they go to the landlord, they say, hey, I can get a lease guarantee for up to $5,000. What would you like me to do? So whether it's $1,000 or $5,000, the tenant is the one who pays. They pay 8% of that guarantee amount. So just for easy math to break it down, so you get $1,000 lease guarantee through us. The tenant pays $80 a year, which is a very small fraction. It's a very, very small cost to pay in order to get a desirable accommodation.
So when does the tenant pay this 8%? Say it's the $80. So I filled out the application and you go through a pre-approval. Is there like a two-step cost process here?
So the admin fee when you first do the credit check and the pre-approval is $25. So that's that. There's no really way around that because that goes towards your credit check, your standard admin.
So you would pay this anyways if you just did a regular
So you'd
credit
be
check
paying
online.
this. Exactly.
They're about $20.
Exactly. So it's the same thing. So now what happens is if you get the pre-approval, it's $25. But then when you go to convert that to the lease guarantee, the $25 fee is waived because you've already paid for it for the pre-approval. But the time that you're charged the 8%, you're not charged that 8% until you actually transition the pre-approval into the actual lease guarantee. And that's when you actually pay the 8%.
So it's so you pay the $25 and then get pre-approval. If it's 8%, it's $1,000. Is this 25 plus $80?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So
you won't have to repay the 25 to
once you're in the
convert it.
system.
Yeah, once you're in the system.
Okay, then you could use that for one. If it didn't work for the one, let's say landlord,
Yeah.
for some reason it happens.
You can use it for all.
So now I'm already pre-approved for that basic amount. I can just reuse that and then put in information for another landlord and it's sent
Absolutely.
off.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So
Yeah.
you've done your work, you're ready, I'm pre-approved, and now I go searching because I feel confident that a landlord sees my application, I've done my homework, I'm responsible, I have all the paperwork, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. It backs your credit worthiness. It shows the landlord that you're serious as a prospect, you're serious as a tenant, you want the property, and you're credit worthy.
So you're guaranteed for the $1,000 for the rent for 1 year.
Yeah. And that can go towards both default on rent payment and property damage as well.
So at the end of the day, you're still responsible for the $1,000 a month and any damages, but Locnest will make sure they guarantee that payment to the landlord, but at a later date, you need to pay what you need to pay. Is that how that works?
Yes. So in the odd chance that a tenant does default and we are required to pay out the landlord, we then do collect from the tenant, but we're not a collection agency. We're not there to make the tenant's life harder. We work out payment plans. If it does come down to that, we work out very easy payment plans for the tenant. Because again, we don't want to make their lives more difficult. We want them to be able to pay the next month's rent and the month after that. So that's kind of how that works.
So if you're looking for a leasehold guarantee to make sure that you're ready and prepared for this rental market, and it's organized, and you were also saying, we were talking before about people overseas, they're not really familiar with, say, Toronto, and they just want to make sure that they're with somebody reputable that will help their family member, their son, their daughter, or someone they know, a relative that's new and they're looking to rent. this is an opportunity for them to do it in a responsible manner.
Absolutely.
Cool. I'll put the links there for Locnest, all the contacts, and that's pretty much it, right?
That's everything.
Easy peasy.
Easy as that.
And get yourself rented, right? Have a spot. All right. Well, thanks for coming down today, talking here at Property Patrol.
Yeah.
And I'm Steve Chiquilo, Dave Sampson from Locnest, and he's here down in Toronto office. Might be talking with Dave.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Dave. Thank you for the information.
Cheers.
So everybody, live life, vows, cheers, and cheeks out.